Hello. I don't know if this is working. I'm going live from my laptop. So jump up in the comments and tell me if you can see me. I wanted to talk names. Just put my phone on silent. It's going off its head. All right. So I'm going live from my laptop. And I don't know how to use it. It's all different to when I'm on my phone. Hello, Lisa. Okay. Comments over on the left-hand side. This is all very different. Okay. So I wanted to talk about names and how they play a massive role in our genealogy. So when people start doing their family trees, I hear a lot of the time people are going, "Oh, that's the wrong spelling. That's not my ancestor," right? But spelling wasn't what it is today. You weren't judged for not being able to spell. A lot of people were illiterate back in the day. So a lot of things were spelled different, and there's a lot of different reasons why. That's just one of the big ones. So I've just got some notes because I had to write it all down and make sure I got it all in my head. So names were created, or surnames were created, to distinguish the difference between two people. They were started in the Roman days. And when Rome fell, Ireland actually took it on. And so the first surname that was ever around was O'Dwyer, which is a very common Irish name that you hear these days. So that was the first name that ever came about. Names were usually, they were made around what you did or where you lived or the community that you were in. So like Smiths from blacksmiths. Smeaton, which is my maiden name, is from a place called Smeaton. So you get the idea. So that's how they were started. Now, as I said, people were illiterate. People didn't know how to spell, and a lot of people didn't even know how to spell their own names. So when we get to things like censuses or documents in general, they would be spelt wrong. They didn't know how to spell it. So with censuses, people used to go around to their houses to do the census, right? Not like it is today. It's not posted out to you or anything like that. So someone used to go and actually knock on the door and be like, okay, who's here? What do you do? Da, 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 da. And because these people who lived in these homes didn't know how to spell their own names, and neither did the guy who's knocking on the door, they'd take a wild guess. Or, they'd just sound it out type thing. So that's one of the ways that things got spelled wrong. Another way is accents. Obviously, having an Irish accent or a strong Scottish accent, people hear it differently. And again, they would just write it down. It wasn't like, now we'd be like, okay, so how do you spell that? Back then, they didn't do that. It was, all right, yep, go on, move along, next person, write it down. So so accents play a big role, the way that we hear words, and then illiterates and not knowing how to spell. And if also another way, people didn't know how to spell, so they would you'd see it in a lot of documents, X. People would just put an X, and then whoever was the officiary of that document, so say it was the priest or the minister who was doing the wedding, he would write down her mark or X her mark, something along those lines to say, yes, I agree that she wrote that X. So that's how they would officiate the document back then. Another thing is middle names. Sorry, I've got things coming. I don't know how to stop my notifications on my laptop. If you know how, you guys let me know. I've got a HP. I don't know how to make them stop. I know that you can do it, but I can't work it out. I'm not that computer illiterate. Middle names. So people would just use whatever name they wanted to use, really. So now that these days, if you're going to use your middle name day to day on official documents, you can't do that. You have to write your proper name. Back then, you didn't. You could write whatever it is you wanted, really. So if you had a nickname, say, for instance, Ned Kelly, he was Edward Kelly, but he went by Ned. So a lot of documents are actually written in Ned. So there's that middle name. So if you didn't like your middle name you didn't like your first name and you wanted to use your middle name, do that. So you'll find documents. I've got one ancestor, Florence Muriel. A lot of her documents are actually Muriel Florence because she didn't like her middle name. She didn't like her name, so she used her middle name instead. Things like, again, with the nickname, like Ned is part of Edward, like we know that that's a nickname. Say, for instance, you decided, or your friends called you Tiny or whatever it is. They called you something that's got nothing to do with your name. You could use that. So people would use it, or they could put it as a middle name. So you'll see a lot of the time when you're doing family trees, a lot of people put a name in quotation marks. So it'll say, for instance, my name, it'll say Kaylee Regan, quotation K Haynes, because people call me Kay. So if you see that, that's what it means. So the name that they prefer to go by is what you usually find in the quotation marks. Doesn't necessarily have to be that person's name. So again, like I was saying, with rate books, that type of thing, documents. Sorry, I've got the front door open. A big gust of wind just came in. Rate books, again, it's just someone sitting there just at a table writing it. Next person comes up, next line. So they're just writing it. They're hurrying it up. They don't care about the spelling. So, and rate books, they would just write it themselves. The census is the person writing it for you. So it wasn't a big deal. Covered all that. I'm just looking at okay, so name patterns. A lot of the time when you're looking in trees, you'll see, and you've probably heard it's very common. So, like the first son of Robert had to be Robert, and then, the first grandchild would have to be Robert, and then the next generation. So each generation, the first male to be born would have the same name. So it's a family name pattern. Again, with the female line, usually it would be the mother's middle name that would be used for the first order. It was, or the mother's name, not usually the mother's name. To be honest, I don't know why that is and why it's different for females, but everything usually is. So that's, again, another pattern. So using, and it would happen each generation as you go down. You'll see it in a lot of Scottish background. You'll see the surname changes. So you can have Robert's son. He was the son of Robert. And then, he had a son named Matthew. So his name would be, Matthew Robertson, right? But then Matthew's son would be so-and-so, Matthew's son, not Robertson. So, again, it changes. What I'm finding is a lot of men down on both my family lines who are known as their middle names. Yeah, it's very, very common. So when we're doing the searches, we've got to think outside the box. So using the middle names as a first name, or just knock out the first name. Don't even use it when you're doing your searches. Putting in those middle names. So if you do find anything that comes up when you're doing searches and it comes up with the wrong spelling or the wrong name, use that for your next search. That's going to help you a lot. It's going to narrow it down a lot for you as well. So, for instance, with the Florence Muriel ancestor of mine, I wouldn't use Florence. I would just pop in Muriel Phillips and I would find her, or Muriel Thorne. So what you're finding, and if you're finding patterns like that, definitely use them in your searches. So yeah, so the Robertson Scottish surnames, they do change. So look at that. Different cultures, different countries have different patterns, that type of thing. So if you do find your ancestors were from a country that you're not familiar with, jump on Google, find out what it is, if they had any regulations around names and naming their children. Hello, like to hear. Yeah, we've got, I've just seen one of my chickens stuck right at the front door. We've got 3 roosters at the moment. It's really annoying. We didn't mean to have 3 roosters. So they're all going off their heads out there. Now, another family pattern is children who have passed, right? So there's a family of 14 children, very common back then. If there was a child that had passed or was stillborn, the next child of that sex would have that child's name. So, say for instance, Catherine Phillips died. The next female born in that family would be Catherine something Phillips. They would usually change it slightly, so they would either change the spelling of the first name. So instead of a C, they'd chuck in a K, for instance, or RYN or RINE. Or they would chuck in a middle name. Wasn't very middle names were a bit touch and go. Some people had them, some didn't. Depends on what years you're kind of looking at. Hi, Pauline. How you going? Thanks for jumping on. So yeah, so the next child would have that name, and I've come across families where there would be 4 children with the same name. Not all of them are passed either, so do keep in mind people did like to reuse the same name. If they really liked a name, they would have multiple children of that name. Not uncommon. So yeah, so with all these things, like I said, the accents, the illiterate spellings, nicknames, patterns, all that type of thing, when you're coming across them in your family trees, pop them in your searches and use them to find. It's definitely going to help break down the walls. If you come up against a roadblock and you just cannot find this person, you cannot find the birth of this person, try doing that. Try changing spelling. Using your wildcards. I think I've mentioned this before. So question marks, pop a question mark in if you're not sure of the middle name. So you can use the first name and then put question mark something. That's going to give you anyone that has a name in the middle of those 2 names that you've already searched. Using your quotation marks, that keeps the 2 names together. So if you know for absolute sure that their middle name was this and this is their surname, you can put something and then put the middle and the surnames in quotation marks. That's going to help you. Asterisks? Yes, asterisks. I have to remember if it was the right word. For instance, if I was searching my maiden name, SMEATON, I would put in SME asterisk TON, and that will search up SMEE, SMEA, SMEI. It's going to it's a wild card for the next letter. And it doesn't necessarily, if you're using Ancestry.com, you do have to have 3 letters, and then you can put a question mark. So I can put SME and then put a question mark. It's going to come up with every surname with SME something. So you have to have 3 letters in there for Ancestry.com. And again, if you really, really are stuck, sounds bad, but pretend you're illiterate. Just sound it out. Try wrong spellings. Just try SMETON or SMTN, or just leave out a few letters or mix the letters up, see what happens. Sometimes you will find what you're looking for. It's amazing, especially also when you're using things like Ancestry.com or Family Search. You're not always looking, they're transcribed. The documents are transcribed, which means that somebody has read the document and written everything out. They're not perfect. They're humans too. So they're bound to have gotten something wrong. So a lot of the time you'll find transcriptions are even wrong. I've found lots of transcriptions and I will look at it and go, that doesn't sound right. But if I click into the actual document and go look at the document, I can see that the person who's done it, the transcriber, has transcribed it incorrectly. So do keep that in mind as well. That's going to help you. Another thing I've come across recently, I've had a client who has Chinese background, coming in from China in the gold rush, coming in from China into Australia around the gold rush times. They didn't use their names. They weren't seen as, we were very racist, put it that way. So there's a lot of Asians had the name R, A-H, and I'm not 100% sure on why it started, but you'll find that a lot of Asians coming in gold rush times had a H as their name, and that wasn't their name. That's just what we called them. So that's what we'd be putting in the files for them. If we decided that we would call them whatever, like, whatever we decided is what we would put in the documents. They didn't really get a choice, unfortunately. So looking at that, chucking the words R in or AH, again, swapping their names around. They would use names that had nothing to do with them as such. So Hoi Song Fongoon was one of the ancestors. He went by David. And when I came across this file, I was like, I don't know, because it was the first time I actually come across any Asians in a file, and I was very like, I don't know. So I had to do a lot of research, and I then, that's when I came across this R, and that was in his file. Louis, David Louis. It would come up in different ways all the time. So I had to really kind of delve deeper into the file, see what it was, see if there was anything else that made my brain go, oh, maybe it is him. And one of those things was obviously going by the occupation. He had the same occupation in a lot of files, but there was a stage where he changed his occupation, which threw me off again. But yeah, keeping in mind the names and the way that they can be changed. We're not always going to be using the names that they actually had. And I can't even read my last note. Change names equals something. Having trouble with playing this video. Am I running out of reception? I am running off the Wi-Fi. I hope you guys can still see me. Pop a comment if you can't see me down below. But I pretty much covered all what I wanted to cover today, and how we can use names in different ways, and how they do change, and how we can use those changes in our searches to find the documents that it is we're looking for. If you want to learn more things like this from me, I have quite a few offerings on at the moment. Down the Rabbit Hole is my major one. It starts Monday, I think it is, the 11th. One of my chickens just got attacked. It starts Monday the 11th, I think it is. $50 at the moment. The price is going to go up on Monday, or I hope it is Monday, the 11th. Let me just double check that. I'll be giving you the wrong information. Yes, Monday the 11th. The price will be going up on that day. So just to jump in now, I will pop a link in the comment for you guys, in the comments below for you guys. But I will be talking about this, these types of things. So names is actually one of the things that I'll be covering. But the first week we go over the differences in family history and genealogy, how and where to start, how to get your ancestors talking, or your family members talking, how to inspire the children, that type of thing. So we're going to go over those things. The second week, I'm going to cover ancestry.com and familysearch.org. I'll go through archives, so Prov, National Library, National Archives of Australia, that type of thing. So we'll cover some of those. Then the third week, I'm going to do some screen shares and show you exactly how it is that I do it. The fourth week, how to tell the difference between files. So again, like I said, just then using occupations or where they live, that type of thing. So using that to differentiate the difference between two files, and whether it is that ancestor you're looking for. And then the last week, which is week 5, we'll be going over recording, organizing, software, clouds, how to organize the files, how to back them up, how to care for photos, documents, all that type of thing. Yeah, I'll pop a link in below, down below for you, Lisa. So it's $50. Price is going up on Monday. And I do have genealogy school. I know I've had a few people ask me about that. I am going to open it up. Give me a couple of weeks, maybe a week. I just need to go in there and give it a clean start, I think. So I'll open that up. I'm going to open it up for $5 for the first month, and then after that it will be $37 a month. So we can jump in if you don't like it. It's easy to cancel straight through, all through PayPal. So you can just go into your PayPal and go, I don't want to be in genealogy school anymore, and cancel it if you like. But $5 for the first month, and then we can see how it goes. And that's it. Oh, also on children, I have a little ebook, 42-page activity booklet I've just released for the kids. So definitely $20 it is. Jump on my website. I'll put a link below as well for that one. But it's going to inspire the kids. It's going to get them asking the questions. It's got word searches, scavenger hunts, color-ins. It's got the works. So I will pop that in the link below, and I'll see you guys the next day or so. All right. Thanks for catching up. Thanks for being here, and I will see you soon. Bye.